Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So in recent reports, unfortunately, from both the Social Security trustees as well as the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, if Congress does not act within the next 7 to 8 years, unfortunately, they're going to have drastic cuts across the board for everyone receiving Social Security benefits, whether you're a retiree, whether you receive SSI benefits, or whether you receive SSDI benefits. They're going to have a cut across the board by 24%, which would be absolutely devastating. So they're either going to have to cut benefits or they're going to have to raise taxes on younger people still working, paying taxes into the system. However, luckily, we have a new bipartisan plan that is receiving a lot of support from both Bill Cassidy as well as Tim Kaine, Republican and Democrat. And this actually has a really great chance of passing. So in today's video, we are going to be breaking down this plan by Bill Cassidy and Tim Kaine that will save the future of Social Security. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to explore potential huge savings on your Medicare plan, then you might want to consider giving Chapter a call today with that number up there on the screen. You see, historically speaking, on average, people who have worked with Chapter have saved right around $1,100 on their Medicare plan. So what do you have to lose? The call is completely free. Once again, with that number up there on the screen, that number is 612-895-2101. That is 612-895-2101. And again, the average person who has worked with Chapter has saved right around $1,100 on their Medicare plan. So what do you have to lose? Give Chapter a call today, and thank you to Chapter for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so once again, we have a new, huge bipartisan plan by Bill Cassidy, he's a Republican in Louisiana, and Tim Kaine, he is a Democrat in Virginia. And we have a lot of Republicans and Democrats getting behind them. This actually has a great chance of passing because, of course, for any bill to pass, it does need to have Republican as well as Democratic support to be able to get the bill, especially through the Senate, where they need at least 60 votes. If only Republicans support it and all the Democrats reject it, the bill is going to get voted down no. And then, of course, if all the Democrats support a bill, but all Republicans reject it, it also has no chance of passing. But this one, unlike those partisan bills where only Democrats or only Republicans support it, this one actually has a chance to pass because it has both Republicans and Democrats behind the bill. Rather than me explain it though, what exactly they're going to do, I'm going to have Bill Cassidy explain the bill in this interview where he breaks everything down, what it would do, how it would save Social Security, and how it would actually improve Social Security. Let's go ahead and watch.
Yeah, I really want to talk mostly about a proposal to rescue Social Security that you put forward with Tim Kaine, a Democrat from Virginia. First of all, just how dire is the situation with Social Security? We've been hearing about this for a number of years, but I gather things haven't gotten better.
You remember the Billy Crystal guy in Princess Bride? It's not dead, but it's mostly dead. Now you hate to laugh about something like that, but think he's not dead; he's mostly dead.
Yeah.
Let me give some context for people less familiar with it. Right now, we have that much money coming into the Social Security program, but we have that much money going out. More is going out than going in. The difference is made up because there is an account, the Social Security Trust Fund, that when in years that we were paying more in than we were spending, that trust fund filled up. That trust fund is now being drained because for years, more has gone out than come in. In 8 years, that trust fund is empty. At that point, the amount going out has to adjust downward to the amount we're actually receiving in income. And that downward adjustment will be somewhere between 21 and 25% for current and future beneficiaries. You're getting $1,000 a month, it'll go down to $800 a month or $750 a month. And that's in 8 years. We will both still be alive, God willing. And so that is dire.
Yeah. So what is your plan to address this, Senator?
Yeah, so it's a bipartisan plan. Tim Kaine and I are the leads, but there's others involved as well. And in our plan, we would set up an investment fund separate from Social Security. Here's the Social Security Trust Fund. Would set up a separate investment fund. 1.5 trillion would be placed in it over 5 years. And it would be invested in the power of the U.S. economy, just like your 401k. And the proceeds from that would help bail out Social Security. All risk is borne by the investment fund. If the market goes up or down, the beneficiary continues to receive her promised benefits. And whatever borrowing is required to pay those benefits will be at first partially, at the end fully offset by the amount of money in this investment fund. That is it in a nutshell, using the power of the U.S. economy to help bail out that promise to seniors.
All right, number of questions. Let me ask you, first of all, where does the $1.5 trillion come from?
So that initial 1.5 trillion we would borrow, our country would borrow. But as it turns out, it does not add to our nation's debt. Because the way our country's budget works, if you borrow money, but you still have the money in escrow, you could take all the money out of escrow and pay off the debt. And so the money in the escrow will offset the borrowed money. And so borrowing that 1.5 trillion does not increase our country's indebtedness.
Isn't investing money in the market, which is essentially what you're proposing here, you say it's not risky, but what if we have a time period like the 1970s where the market goes sideways for, say, a decade?
Andrew, you're a sophisticated financial analyst. We hold this money for 75 years. And so the longest I'm told that the market has been in the doldrums has been, I think, 17 years. The 70s were the period, the 60s, late 60s, very late 60s into the 70s. We hold this money for 75. Now, let's assume, though, that we don't achieve all of our outcomes. Let's assume instead of paying 70% of our obligation, we only pay 50%. We're still paying 50%. We're still getting the benefit of that growth. But most people in the financial market think we're being conservative and think that our returns will be greater. We're trying to be conservative, will be greater than that which we're projecting. So we may end up paying even more. So there is uncertainty. But even if we don't achieve our goal completely, we're doing a lot better than we're doing now.
And would Social Security still be around, Senator? Is this sort of supplemental at first, or does it replace it? Explain that to us.
No, this bails out. The Social Security program continues as folks have come to know it and rely upon it. This is a fund separate from Social Security, but the benefits, the profit from it, feeds back into Social Security to shore it up. I want Social Security to last for another 300 years, because don't we want our country to last for eternity? If it'll last for eternity, so should social. And at the end, we think that the power of the investment is such that we may actually evergreen the Social Security Trust Fund, which is to say, never have to worry about a financial shortfall again.
I understand that you see sort of a template out there, another program that the government set up that's sort of similar to this. Can you explain that?
Yes. The good thing about our program is that not only have other countries done it, but so has the federal government. For the Federal Railroad Retirement System. Most folks don't know, but there is a federal retirement system for workers in the railroad industry. And under George W. Bush's administration, there were fewer workers and there were more retirees, just like Social Security now. And there was a bipartisan commitment to taking their funds and investing it in the market, just like we are doing with these funds. And what they found was that the market outperformed, that they're now paying all their scheduled benefits, and they're firmly in the black. They've had an 8.9% or 9.2% return on investment on average year over year since they've done this when George W. Bush was president. We've got experience with this. It works. The only question is the scale.
I know you and Senator Keene are pretty smart guys, but this problem's been around for a while. Why hasn't anyone thought about this solution previously?
People have thought about this in one way or another. Bill Clinton thought about taking the Social Security Trust Fund itself and investing that. People didn't like that. It failed. George W. Bush talked about creating individual investment funds. but nobody wanted the risk to fall upon the individual. So we've learned from that. And President Trump on the campaign trail talked about using a sovereign wealth fund to bail out social. So we've taken all these ideas and follow what we're doing. We're taking the sovereign wealth fund of what President Trump talked about. We don't have individual accounts. We know people don't like that. We don't mix it in with the trust fund itself. We have a separate investment fund in which the risk falls upon the investment fund, not the individual, patterned after the sovereign wealth fund that President Trump has talked about.
Okay, so with that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about this bill by Bill Cassidy? Is this something that you could also see yourself supporting? Leave your thoughts and comments below, but that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.